Welcome to the Pathfinder Legacy Podcast, where we help farmers, ranchers, and business owners create a seamless transition plan for the future. From retirement to ownership transfer, we protect what you've built and guide you every step of the way.
Hello, welcome back to the Pathfinder Legacy Podcast. I'm Heidi Olson, your host, and today we're finishing our conversation with Martin and Linda Hansen, Kirk's second cousin, and just talking about what the Family Caregiver Month of November, finishing up that as we talk about how our extended families are really so close to us, but yet sometimes so far back, so far away. So Martin, you were talking about growing up in the family farm, and you had family members within, constantly cousins within, and maybe a 20-mile radius, and you knew everybody. You didn't have to have a family reunion because you saw everybody all the time.
Yeah, played 4-H, our 4-H club. We have a lot of family members in that. One summer when I was 14 years old, we had a softball team. They had a league in Renora. Fast pitch softball, we played against adults. And our entire team were cousins. Cousins or second cousins. So we had a great time. And then we would also play pickup games against other teams. We enjoyed the heck out of it.
So you guys probably won all the time because you knew you had your team staff. You knew who was going to play what position and who was best at what.
Pretty much. My dad and one of his brothers-in-law were the coaches for the team.
Okay.
So they decided who did what, and nobody argued.
Yeah.
We just had fun.
Cool. But I mean, what a memory to have those families so close together to be doing that. And I could say how many of us know all of our extended family and cousins or get to see them as often as you did at that point because they just don't do it anymore. It's really sad. It should be done. But you talk about too being young, and when your dad passed away, you were how old, Martin, when your dad passed?
21.
21. So,
I'd been 21 for about a month.
and your dad passed away.
Yep.
What did he pass away from?
Cancer.
Okay. So he had cancer. So you had big shoes to fill. You had been farming with your dad?
I'd ran every piece of machinery there was. And I'd taken enough like welding and stuff in 4-H that I knew how to fix things. I'd helped him overhaul engines. I knew how to do that.
Okay. So you already had a good handle on how the farm should be operated and working with your dad from being young all the way to adulthood. Now you're stepping to his shoes, and literally you stepped into his shoes with equipment and so forth. And
his equipment. I borrowed $375 and bought a used drill. And I cashed in a life insurance policy to get some operating money. Other than that, I used his machinery. I bought a combine that fall at an auction sale in Canada. And if I remember right, I paid $1,275 or something for it. And I drove it home because I wouldn't pay somebody to haul it. I didn't have the money. And I think I combined with that for 8 years, and I sold it for $500.
wow.
And then I bought a real expensive one that I paid $3,000 for.
It just goes to show how
And
equipment,
more than that, just to put the fuel in them.
right?
Yeah.
Right? How inflated everything is. And the price, what we're getting per bushel really isn't that much difference than what it was at that time. I mean, when you think about
The least I ever sold. Before I raised Durham, I sold spring wheat for $1.02 a bushel and got 20 bushels in the acre 1 year. But then cattle prices were better. So that usually kind of evened out.
Yeah. You were diversified enough that you had good years and bad years, or farming or ranching, you could still make a living, buy some groceries.
You got the bills paid.
Yep. You still had the lights on.
Yep.
Nobody shut the lights off on you. So if you had to go back and do it over again from what you had to learn, you had different aspirations, but you jumped right into this with the farming. If you could do it something different, would you change anything? Would you go back and do anything?
I never intended to be a farmer, but on the other hand, I couldn't envision life without farming because it's all I'd ever done. I would have been perfectly content to have a full-time job and do it part-time, but it didn't work out that way. But then later on, after 10 years, I took over a contract mail route. There were no benefits, but it was a paycheck every 28 days. And I always said it supports my farming habit.
There you go.
And then I got lucky and I convinced the people of Williams County to vote for me. And I spent 12 years as a county commissioner. And that made a huge difference because I didn't have to pay for health insurance and I had quite a bit bigger paycheck every month. So that was a big move.
Help supplement so that way you had some extra funds to, the farm took care of itself, but you had some extra funds then for you to take care of you and make sure that you had insurance and so forth.
Yep. So I had the insurance, but this way I didn't have to pay.
You didn't have to pay out of pocket or it was already covered. So how many years ago has it been since you were county commissioner?
9.
9 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't run for re-election when I was 68.
So you decided then to hang up your commissioner hat. So then you and Linda could go do some more traveling or spend some time together.
We done a fair amount of traveling. And I said at the time, the reason they said, well, you should have run again. You could have got elected. I said, yeah, I think I could have. But I thought I might get dementia in 2 years and nobody would notice. And I said that to somebody. He said, well, you fooled them so far. I said, yeah, but I think we'll just leave it at that. I think I'll just.
Yeah. Yep. Well, you put your dues in. You served
longer than I spent from first grade till I graduated from high school.
You go. Yeah. Absolutely.
And they didn't have kindergarten. That they hadn't invented it yet when I started school.
So you had to learn on your own.
You would have went to country school too.
Nope. Zoll.
You went to Zoll.
Zoll grade school, 8 years. Grenora High School for 4.
And then you went to Grenora and Mama to Williston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any other words of wisdom that you would have for anybody that with their family, and you've got so many stories. We could be here all day talking about Haugen and Hansen's stories and all of the history that you were just showing us in these atlases and the history of the pioneers. First, I should ask any other stories you want to share with us before I ask you for your wisdom.
I don't have a lot of wisdom, but no, I don't know. I enjoyed, if I could have had more stock cows, I wouldn't have grained for it. I like cows.
You enjoyed the lifestyle.
I like cows, and you didn't need to have nearly as much investment as you did in machinery. And what I invested in machinery was nothing compared to what they have now. It was literally nothing.
But it felt like a lot at that time.
Well, it did.
Borrowing money, which
it did at the time. So I would have rather just had cattle. I like cows, even when they were beating up on me and trying to kill me. I liked them. They always had a reason. Yeah,
Or maybe it was that cow that was the one that was going to get called and put in the freezer.
Well, no, I didn't ever get mad at them and eat them. I sold them and let somebody else eat them.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then any other wisdom that you would say for someone listening today, things that you would give advice, saying what they should.
Well, I would say for one thing, you need to get involved in other organizations. I've spent a lot of years in Williams County Farm Bureau. I started when I was 21 years old, so that was 56 years ago. I liked the organization, and I've stayed with it for all those years. I've been on a township board. I've been on a church council, parish council. You have to get involved in some things. You can't just do your work and go home. You have to do other things. And you got to do things that will help, that will benefit other people. And so now I don't do much of anything except on the Independent Order of Odd Fellows with what we do. The trust I'm the chairman of gives away, this year it's $1.4 million in scholarships.
It's a huge responsibility.
That's what we do. We give money for scholarships, and then we send some high school kids on a free trip every summer. And I'm hoping that doesn't end.
What a wonderful opportunity to be a part of that and to be able to give back to, even though you've retired from some of the other organizations, but you're still being the grandfather, if you will, and overseeing and helping and guide and make sure that that money is used for the appropriate reasons. And there are other students in the area that are able to benefit from that. And hopefully they're bringing those experiences back and remembering.
Well, I would hope so. We send good kids. We get really good reports from the national office on the kids that we send.
How many kids have you guys sent on an average for our listeners, on an average for a year? And you're sending them out to the East Coast. So they're out there for
about 10 days,
10
days. Yeah. We have been sending 3 this year. I'm hoping 5 or 6.
Okay.
And at one time, there were probably 500 kids that were doing this in the summer. Now they're down to about 100.
Okay. Total nationwide.
Yeah. COVID was very, very tough. When they had to shut down for 2 years, it was very hard to get it to recover from that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a wonderful trip if we can just convince the kids to go.
Get them to apply, get them to fill out the application, apply, and not be afraid to step outside of their comfort zone.
Yeah. I can't imagine anybody that would ever do it that would regret it. It's a wonderful opportunity.
Well, very good. Well, it's something amazing that you were helping with and do and still to spearhead and make sure that their wishes are followed through.
I got lucky. When I was on the county commission, I was the chairman of the social service board. And when the trust was set up, there were 3 members designated that had to be on that board. The Noble Grand of the Oddfellows Lodge, the Williston Superintendent of Schools, and what they called it at the time was the chairman of the county poor, because this was in the 1930s.
Okay.
So it became the president of the social service board. So because of that, I got on the board. And then the chairman wanted to step down, and he saw to it that I got to be the chairman. So that's my hobby.
Okay. Well, very nice. Well, very good. So it's something that keeps you out of Linda's hair, if you will, and yet still gives you some extra time so you guys can go do the things that you want to do.
Yeah, we wander a little here and there.
Go. All right. Well, very good. Any other words of wisdom?
I think that's about all I have.
That's all you got.
It's a shallow well. It doesn't take too long to get to the bottom of it.
I think we've just gotten to skimming the surface, Martin. I don't think we'll ever get to the bottom. Well is a deep subject.
I want to tell you a quick, being Scandinavian, you have to have an Ole and Lena joke.
Oh, yes, we need Ole and Lena. So we got to have it.
Ole and Lena were out on a date, and Ole said to Lena, you are just so beautiful. And she said, well, Ole, you would say that even if I wasn't. He said, yes. And you would think you were, even if I didn't say it.
Is that how you were winning over the girls' hearts?
I think so.
Fine. Well, very good. Very good. All right. Well, now I think we're going to switch gears a little bit over for Linda. Linda, tell us, you and Martin have been married for how long?
22 years.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Same as us. Wow. We must have all been, I don't recall getting an invitation for the wedding. We probably did. But I was newlywed at that time and didn't know all the family.
His sister was there because we went to her wedding.
Carrie?
Yeah. So she told her husband, we're going to his.
There you go. There you go. That's right. So 22 years, you guys have been married. Tell me about your background and where you're from and your family. A little bit more about your family.
Okay, I grew up in Mackenzie County, and I was born in Watford City, grew up out by Key, then to Newtown, back to Watford, back to Newtown, back to Watford. And I was living in Watford and working in the accounting office at the time that Martin and I started going together.
Okay.
And it was a friend of Martin's from high school and his wife that introduced the two of us.
I was going to say, did he bring his taxes in for you to work on his taxes?
No.
Are you still friends with him?
Oh, yes.
He hasn't scared you away?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Mart. So that's pretty interesting. So you meet through a friend of a friend and so forth. So, and then you guys got married and you worked in Williston
Yes.
For
Then I started working at the accounting firm that did his taxes.
okay.
At the time, I just kind of went from one place to another actually before we got married.
It was an easy shift for you.
Yes.
And I think I remember when I first started at the bank, I probably even had some of my trust clients I was sending, already used your firm.
Yeah.
So I remembered the name. And then all of a sudden, when I seen you guys at Farm Bureau meetings, I'm like, oh, now I can put a name with a face and so
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I was working in Watford City, Kirk's mom and her husband were some of our clients in Watford City.
Okay.
So Marlene came and had to check me out after she found out that I was going with my
Make sure that you were
fit to belong to the family.
Don't you like how that vetting process goes?
Sure.
So then when you guys got married, you have always lived out on farm, or did you live in Williston? And then
No, Martin was living back out on the farm. Then we got married, so I drove back and forth to Williston for several years.
Yeah. Until you decided.
Until I retired.
Okay. And then once you guys retired, now you're on the farm full time.
Right.
And you're doing some traveling.
Oh yeah.
And so forth. So have you been doing some overseas traveling or just?
Well, the day that after I retired, we went to Norway. And since then I have been to Australia for the second time. Martin decided to stay home because it was during hunting season.
Deer season.
Deer season. Yes. Well, hunting. And we've been on several baseball trips and a few other trips.
Wow.
So Alaska. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, very good. Well, good for you guys. So now that you're retired, there's so many retirees. Kirk and I talk about this too. You work so hard. Why do you need to save your money for your family? And I said, you don't provide an inheritance for them. You don't need to provide a retirement. You work so hard for your money. You should be the one to enjoy it. And if there's something left over at the end of the day, then great. If not, you know that you have been taken care of and that you can go do the things that you want to do. Yeah. So your family is originally from?
My mother grew up north of Watford City, and my dad grew up out in the Keene area.
Okay.
And they're 20 miles apart.
Okay. So they knew each other very probably.
Well, no, they didn't know each other probably until they were in their 20s, 30s. My mother and her mother lived in a house in Watford, and they lived on one level, and Dad's cousin lived on another level. And he was married and had a couple kids, and they introduced my mom.
So similar, you guys being introduced with families or friends or so forth. That's probably the better way to do it than anything. And so then what is the heritage?
I'm a full-blooded Norwegian, same as Martin.
That ain't easy.
I was going to say, is there any swearing going on in your native language or any?
Oh, no.
There are no swear words in Norwegian.
There aren't.
No, really. No. The only swear word that they might, if they say fawn, that's the devil. And that's about it.
Okay. All right. So it's not aggressive at all.
No, that's a good thing we learned English.
So especially if you're working cows, right?
Yeah, once in a while.
And you might need it. So, and how many siblings?
I lost a sister to cancer a few years ago, and then I've still got another sister and a brother. My sister lives in Bismarck, and my brother's here in Williston.
Okay, so your family is close too. So same as Martin, you grow up and you have everybody close by. So forth. So when you had, what kind of family traditions is something that you remember those family?
I guess most of my first cousins are quite a bit older than I am. In fact, I have 3 or 4 cousins that have kids that are older than I am. So I'm actually a generation or almost a generation younger than most of my first cousins. Yeah. And when I grew up, we didn't spend a whole lot of time visiting with the immediate family and relatives. Although my mom had a brother that had been widowed, and we spent a lot of the holidays with two bachelor farmers or bachelors that grew up next to my dad's place where he grew up, and my mom's brother and his wife and another neighbor lady. So I grew up in a family where our families and tradition, or the people that we spent a lot of time with, were older. I didn't spend a lot of time with young kids my own age, but we did Christmas and Thanksgiving and Easter. Easter, one of the traditions that we did was we always went out in the pasture by our farm and looked for crocuses. That was a biggie. Christmas Eve was always ludicrous. We didn't grow up with a lot of the Scandinavian baking. I love to bake. I have, over the years, learned how to do lefse. We did kuchaka when I started in high school, and buckles and fuddyman and rosettes and those kinds of things.
All the good.
So, yeah, the good Scandinavian baking. Yeah. Grew up in 4-H. My dad was a farmer, and my mom taught school before we got married. Her mother fell and broke her hip and spent the rest of her life in bed. And we lived for a while with both of my grandmothers because my dad's father died when my dad was 6. And mom's dad died when she was a little bit older. But both of those ladies lived alone. They were there. Yeah. So we lived with both grandparents and or grandmothers until they died. And I grew up basically on a farm, but then when I was a sophomore, I started working in Newtown. My mom got a job in Newtown teaching title. And we moved to Newtown and back and forth from Newtown and
Back to the Newtown, to the farm, to Watford.
yeah.
So you've done this of teaching.
Yes, I taught special ed for 12 years in Watford City, 2 years in Newtown, and then I decided it was time for a change. I was fortunate enough to get hired by an accountant in Watford, and I kind of went from one accountant to another accountant to another accountant to Williston, yeah, until I retired.
Told her when we got married, she didn't have to work. I still had stanchions in the barn. I would buy her milk.
What a sweetie, huh?
Yeah.
You didn't have to work off the farm, is what you were saying.
Yeah.
10 days to find a new job.
Yeah. Yeah. I retired or left my position on Good Friday and was interviewed the following Tuesday, I think it was, and started work the Monday after that. So I was without work for 10 days.
Yeah. So you were very well sought after with your experience and so forth and working for different, because it's not easy to teach that. It's not easy to learn those things. And if you've got some experience, by all means, you're pretty good talent to have.
Yeah. And when I was hired by the accountant, I really didn't have any kind of an accounting degree or anything. I took high school bookkeeping and I was treasurer at the Bible camp at Epping. And that was my experience. And I was very fortunate that Tim Taylor hired me and
You learned a
just
lot.
kind of went from there. Yeah.
You learned a lot. So now do you do your own taxes?
No.
Let them handle doing all the filing.
Yeah.
We get everything ready and we take it to the youngest cousin.
There you go.
The youngest of with one of the twins.
Yeah. Let them handle
He's
it.
not the youngest twin. He's the next to the youngest.
The next to the youngest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you had Kirk in. Were you in one of her classes?
I tried to get it.
You tried to get in there. She was going to crack the whip on you and not let you in.
She loves life.
She knew that you were an Olsen that she had to watch out for. So you have siblings,
Yes.
as well.
Yep.
And you said most of those siblings are living within the area, relative area.
Yeah.
So do you guys get together for any family traditional
Not really. We get together. We used to get together on holidays and things, but since our parents died and I got married, kind of things shifted. We still get together occasionally for birthdays and those kinds of things. But as far as actually working to get together on specific holidays and stuff, probably not so much.
Not so much. So if you looking back, you said you did spend a lot of time with both of your grandmas. And looking back, what is the fondest memory that you have of spending with those grandmas? Or maybe I should say what they taught you.
My mom's mother,
Grandpas?
no.
I know the one that
Died when my dad was 6, yeah. And the other one was down before I was born. And my mom's mother died when I was like 3.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So you only.
And I was like 12 when the second one died. She taught me probably a lot about independence because she ended up raising her 2 sons by herself. She was very independent. Kids grow up with grandma as somebody special. Living in grandma's house, that didn't work as well. Unfortunately, my grandmother didn't think my mom worked hard enough. So, I mean, they got along, but there was tension. So it wasn't quite the same as growing up and having grandma 20 miles away. You know,
It was more of an extension of having a parent on there.
Yeah.
She was kind of a helicopter ground.
and if mom and dad left us kids at home because mom didn't work hard enough, she didn't think we worked hard enough, so she was going to teach us how to work. So
she was
it wasn't it wasn't, you know, I mean, I love my grandmother very much, but it wasn't the kind of relationship that a lot of kids have with their grandparents now.
so more of she taught you a lot of work ethic.
She tried.
But still being
It was never good enough.
right.
No. I mean, you know,
And I'd say
mom and dad would go and we'd head out for the pasture or climb up on top of the chicken coop or whatever to try to get away from now.
because you knew there
And
was
she was also older. It was late in life when she had dad and his brother. And my parents were older than average for their first child. And I was the oldest. And so grandma was an old lady when I was growing up. Or at least I thought of her as an old lady. She probably wasn't that much older than I am now. You know, when I was
but
born.
once you as a teenager, you looked at her as that. That's probably didn't help that you felt like she was harping on you all the time about work.
I mean, like I say, it's not that I didn't love her or anything like that, but it was
a different
it was a different relationship than a lot of kids have with their grandparents.
How about with your other grandma? How was your relationship with the other grandma?
I was only 3 when she died.
Oh, that's right.
So,
She was the one bedridden.
yeah, and she was the one that was bedridden. Mom and dad went together for 7 years before they got married because of the fact that they were both responsible for taking care of their mothers. So
A lot of responsibility at that time.
Yeah. So it was different, but it was good. I mean, you know, I didn't know any different.
Well, and it's just what you because it's just expected. So you help take care of your parents. And, you know, we're kind of seeing more of a shift like that going on in today's world where you didn't have a nursing homes and so forth. Like they did when my grandparents were, actually my grandparents really didn't even go into a nursing home. They were at home as long as they could because there were family members around to take care of them. I mean, we're finding more of that shift of the caregivers that is coming back to family that I'm at least seeing in our area that is nursing homes that getting skilled labor is not easy. It's not easy to fill those positions.
Very expensive.
It is so expensive that you can't afford that.
Sure.
So the family, you see them from time to time now and so forth. So you may not spend the holidays together, but you still see them. You have your time together with them and still keep in touch.
Do things with the great nieces or, with my nephews and their kids. And we went, when Martin and I were first going together and married, we went to a lot of hockey games because I have nephews that were playing hockey. And last summer we went to a few of my great nephews' baseball games and different things that they're involved in now. And a couple of the
Dance
recitals that Gregor Joyce is taking part in.
It made you a little more well-rounded, huh, Martin? Get to go see some of those little gals out there dancing around in their tutus and yeah, fun. So if you could give any advice to your family or to the future for the generations, what kind of advice would you give them?
I guess, like Martin said, be involved in your community, be involved in the organizations, take part in things. Family is important, but so is your community. And support the schools, support education, support the churches. Just be involved. Get to know the people. If you get married and move into an area where you didn't grow up, go to different things and go in the kitchen and work. It's a great way to meet people and get involved so that you get to meet people and find out what the community is like.
Right.
You find out some things. We go to a lot of local baseball and football and basketball and football games in Bernard and Westby, St. Co-op for sports. And during COVID, they were going to only allow each player to have a certain number of people that could come to a game and watch them. And one of the girls that played basketball said, how are Martin and Linda Hansen going to get to come to my games? I had no idea. She knew we were there.
Yeah. Because they knew you were there just for them. And yep.
She wanted to know.
Yeah.
That's very good. Because you guys didn't have any children of your own.
No,
I had a stepchild.
You have 7 children.
Yeah.
But you don't need to have children to feel like you have children of your own, really, because you've got this extension of, and it's just how well you get involved in what you just showing that you care and taking an interest in it, because some of these kids probably don't even have that in their own family. So needing someone to help support them is nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I was involved in band and choir, and so are my siblings all through school. And after the concerts, especially like with my brother's friends, they would end up at our house and they would be discussing how this went and how that went and some other song went and the problems and whatever, because their parents didn't show up. Everybody was at our house because they knew that my parents were there and were supportive of the music programs. My parents followed us kids to all kinds of music things. When I was in college, I went to school in Minot, and I think my folks made every concert that I was in. I had a sister that went to Moria. They didn't make it to all of her concerts, but they went to as many as they could. And I was in Tri-State. My parents were there. Our jazz band made it to the top band in one of the concerts. My parents and several of the other parents of the kids that were in the group came to the final concert. And it's important. You may not say thank you to the parents at the time, but you know that they're there and you know that they're very supportive.
We see it with our daughters' activities, especially now with Watford being Class A, where it's nothing to go 300 miles for a 20-minute race.
Yeah.
And it'll be us and maybe 1 or 2 other parents, and that's it. And nobody else comes.
But we're there to help children and all those other students.
Yeah.
I know it's very disheartening to see that those other parents don't come. And even for the regional or the state competitions, those end of season meets, and they weren't there. But we cheered them all on. And some, the boys aren't as emotional. but you know, they always would.
They know whether or not you're there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they look for you.
They won't say it, but they know you're there. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's very, very important.
It's
That you're supportive of your kids and the things that they belong to as well.
and helping out those in the community.
Yeah.
Anything else, Linda, that you would want to share with us today? Any family history, stories, wisdom? Maybe you have stories about Martin you want to share.
I'm kind of surprised when Kirk's mother went to check her out that she didn't want her.
She already knew who she was from school.
Actually, the mother of the lady that introduced us told me she was an old Scandinavian lady from Watford, north of Watford City. And she said to me, "Val, you know, she's been single a long time."
I didn't know that.
And I said, "Val, you know, I have two men for 6 years." And so
Yeah.
she warned me.
She warned you,
Yeah.
but you let her know as well.
Oh, well.
You're always going to have that. The small towns, they like to give their opinion whether it's wanted or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she was quite a lady. I would have been disappointed if she hadn't said something.
Right. Well, she was probably looking for that Martin humor.
Well, she was really something. Quite a lady.
Sounds like she might have kept you in line a little bit too.
Well, she tried with her two sons, and I don't know how good it went. She had her hands full with those two. I'll tell you that.
Maybe she was hoping you would rub off on them.
Well, I met her oldest son when I went to college here. Ian, a friend of mine from high school, Bob and I were sitting in class before class talking about hunting or farming or something, and he joined in, and we didn't know him. So we did some hunting together and visiting and running around, and he told us he had a twin sister in town here. We thought she must have looked like him, so we didn't care. And about the next year, they were sharing an apartment, and we went to pick him up to go to a movie. Wednesday nights was take a chance night. It cost you $0.25, and then you didn't know what you were going to see. So we went to get him, and his sister came out, and she didn't look at all like we thought she would. And so when we were going to leave, Bob said, "Glenda, if you need it, my 22's in the closet." And Bob got mad, but he stayed anyway. And they've been married now for 53 years, I think.
She didn't have to fire that gun on him.
No.
The standards were already set before Big Brother left.
Yeah. And so, yeah, and then of course, his little sister married her little brother. So they got double cousins there.
Okay.
And Glenn and Trish have been married now for over 50 years.
Okay.
So
It's kind of fun to see how that all
that,
comes together.
yeah. And we've stayed friends all these years.
Yeah.
We think the same way. It's kind of scary. It is really kind of scary.
They have a Ouija board.
Now we're old and decrepit.
Yeah.
But look at all the fun stories that you can tell and share.
Yep.
All right. Well, before we wrap up, anything else? Words of wisdom, stories, anything you can think of, Kirk, from what you've heard your grandparents talk about? Just other than the lunch ladies.
Well, I usually, when anybody in the family, and now I've extended it to outside the family, when a couple gets married, I usually give the groom a pair of yellow fuzzy work gloves and a poem. And it's about his grandparents when they got married. And it is a true story. Have you seen the poem?
I've heard the story. I heard something about a paddle.
No.
Was it gloves?
Gloves.
It was gloves that Grandpa Olaf.
Grandpa Olaf gave my dad
Yes.
the paddle
Yes.
to use on my mom.
Yeah.
And instead, mom broke it on me.
No, the gloves was when Olaf and Ed and I got married. And so how old is your mom? 82, 81?
81. She just turned 81.
Yeah. So anyhow, south of Grenora over 80 years ago, Olaf and Edna were much in love. So to Plentywood they went and then were wed. Had supper and went to the farm and to bed. Edna, of course, is a lovely nightgown. But when Olaf came in, it caused her to frown. Because you see, he was dressed in only a smile. And Edna was certainly not used to that style. You can't come to bed naked, wear something, put on something, she said. This is true, by the way. So gloves were just like these were what he wore to bed. Now we'll give you a pair as a present because your new bride might be as shy as Aunt Edna once was. And if they're not necessary for his bedroom chores, if you wear them like earmuffs, they should muffle his snores. It's a true story. He got a little too much to drink one night and told his mother-in-law, Pop Ross, that story. And Pop told everybody.
Yeah.
And then it was out on the wire.
And Martin's been telling it ever since.
That's cute.
I wrote a book and I give people yellow fuzzy work gloves.
There we go. Well, we might have to just end with those yellow fuzzy work gloves.
Yeah. So when our Dean Croden got married, I gave him a pair. And Faye wrote the thank you, and she said he didn't need the gloves. But Matthew told me that when they cleaned out Faye's house, Arlene's army uniform was still hanging in the closet with the gloves.
Oh.
He said he couldn't figure out where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, I gave that to him when they got married.
Yeah. For funny.
Yeah.
That's cool.
True story.
Well, that poem will be on our, episode.
So I gave a pair to a guy that actually went on this United Nations trip. He got married this summer. I gave him a wedding present with the same poem.
With the same poem. There we go. Well, the yellow wedding gloves.
Yep. Ode to Gloves is the name of it. Ode to
Oh,
Gloves.
just gloves. All right. Well, very good. I'm Heidi Olson with Pathfinder Legacy. A big thank you to Martin and Linda for sharing their stories, their humor, and their perspective on what it really means to keep a family and a farm going for the long haul. Their generation reminds us that legacy isn't just about land or paperwork. It's about character, consistency, and keeping your word. If today's episode made you think about your own family's story, share it with a friend or another farm family who'd appreciate it. And don't forget to check out the storytelling worksheet linked in the show notes. It's a simple way to start recording your own family memories. You can also visit pathfinderlegacy.com to learn more or book a free 30-minute discovery call to start your own legacy conversation. At the end of the day, the stories we tell and the values we live by are what hold a family together. Until next time, I'll see you between the ditches.
Thanks for listening to the Pathfinder Legacy Podcast, where your future is our focus. Be sure to subscribe, follow us on social media, and visit us at pathfinderlegacy.com to start building your transition plan today.